Am I the a-hole for withdrawing the money I saved for my kids and putting it in an account their mom can no longer access? My ex and I, both in our late 20s, had what I considered to be a good co-parenting relationship until last year. Then things changed. My ex started saying I should pay child support out of nowhere, and she wouldn't say why. The reason I don't pay child support is that I have our kids as much as she does. We split the costs of things, and we make roughly the same amount of money. This became a big strain on our co-parenting dynamic, and I had no idea why she was pushing this for months. It wasn't until our 2 kids told me she had a boyfriend and I asked her about it that she admitted she wanted to be able to afford to treat her boyfriend's kids like ours. And she said she didn't have the money to do it. She said she wanted to take all the kids to see a movie, go to the pool or the arcade, but it was out of her budget. We argued over this because I was clear that it was not my job to finance that. She said it was the best thing for our kids, so I should. It got very bitter between us, and I was unwilling to give. She didn't have a leg to stand on to get child support either. So toward the end of last year, she decided to take money from our kids' savings to pay for these other kids to join in all the activities she wanted to do with them. I found out after she had withdrawn a couple $100 from the kids' accounts. I spoke to my attorney and decided the best course of action was to withdraw everything I had saved for the kids and set up a separate account that she can't access. She found out when she tried to withdraw more money and realized it wouldn't support this for long. This turned into another fight, and I told her she couldn't do anything about it because our kids would still get the money. She called me selfish and said I was ruining our kids' stability just to be petty toward kids who did nothing wrong. I told her that if she hadn't started taking from our kids' savings for these other kids, I wouldn't have needed to do it. I have confirmed that I am 100% legally in the clear, so that's not a concern for me. But am I the a-hole for withdrawing the money? And am I the a-hole for doing it without telling her? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You don't even need to come here and ask this question. There's no way you are the a-hole for protecting your kid's future while your ex plays mommy to her new guy's kids. The audacity for her to ask for child support. Does her boyfriend not have a job? It's not unfair on the kids. They can still go cinema, etc., but when they're with you. I'm not sure what the deal with her boyfriend is, but I would assume he does work since they don't live together at this point, and he has his own household to support. Sounds like she wants you to pay child support for someone else's kids. They aren't even yours or hers. Talk to your lawyer about her taking the funds without your okay and what legal remedies there are. At this point, I'd also consider seeking more custody. Use any texts where she talks about this as evidence she's stealing from her own kids to fund the lives of her boyfriends. I have already spoken to my attorney, and there's nothing I can legally do about her withdrawing the money and using it like she does. Some of it was saved by her, so she's allowed to use it if she needs or wants to. But I had the biggest majority saved, and I wanted to protect it, so I removed the funds. It's also not going to change custody in any way. The only thing I can do is make sure my kids have money saved for their futures. The next thing she's going to do is lie about the cost of things, and likely attribute things she's buying her boyfriend's kids to the kids you share. Demand receipts, and full accounting before you split anything else with her. What she's doing is shady and dishonest. My own mom took my inheritance my nan left me, and constantly was borrowing my savings and never paying it all back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my stepdaughter share a room with my daughter? I have 2 children, a 16-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. My husband has 3 children, a 16 and a 14-year-old daughters, and a 10-year-old son. The boys share a room, the 2 stepdaughters share a room, and my daughter has her own room. For context, this is my home, and my daughter's room has been hers since she was little. The situation is that my stepdaughters fight a lot, constantly, and it's exhausting. Their dad has never really been able to fix it because he says he's never been able to figure out what the problem is. My older stepdaughter takes her sister's things, ruins them, and never returns them. Their dad and I would try to pay for the stolen items, but that doesn't guarantee they won't fight again. My daughter has also had her share of her belongings taken by her stepsister in the past. I addressed it by getting her a lock for her room, which my husband did not agree with because his younger daughter wanted a lock as well, but that wouldn't have worked since she shares a room with her sister. After a series of big fights between the stepdaughters, my husband said the only solution was to get them away from each other by having the older stepdaughter move into my daughter's room. I said no for several reasons. First, that stepdaughter is basically a thief, and she would start stealing from my daughter. Second, this is my daughter's room. Even if he argues that it isn't fair that his daughters are stuck in one room, while my daughter gets a room to herself. He begged and said he felt like the fighting was never going to end and that this was the only solution. I suggested mixing the boys with the girls, but he said absolutely not. Boys never share with girls, period. I said I wasn't going to allow what he suggested, and we ended up fighting. He called me selfish and unsupportive because I said he needs to handle his own daughters. He said he would go stay with a friend because he could no longer handle the fighting. He also said he wouldn't come back until I agreed to let his older daughter move in with my daughter. I lashed out and said no way. He asked if this was the hill I was willing to die on, and I said yes, which escalated the problem. Now he's been gone for 2 days, and I'm left to listen to my stepdaughters yell at each other. He's using this as a way to hopefully get me to cave and say yes, but I can't imagine doing this to my daughter. No configuration of rooms will stop the thief from thieving. Gotta nip that issue in the bud. Where are the consequences for the thief? Rather than simply replacing the items she ruins, all she has learned is that she can take as she pleases. You're not the a-hole. Your daughter's room is her safe space, and you shouldn't have to force her to share it with someone who steals and causes drama. Your husband needs to handle his daughter's behavior, not push the problem onto your child. Where is their mom? Is she on the picture? Because then I would pack up the kids and drop them off there. She left 2 years ago with her foreign husband to his home country. She talks to the girls via social media and video calls, but does not play a major role in their lives. Doesn't seem to care as long as the girls are taken care of. She thinks this stuff, the fighting and stealing, is no big deal. Soft, you're the a-hole for letting this go on this long. You did the right thing by giving your daughter a lock for her room, but there should have been consequences for stealing in the first place. Replacing the items the oldest stepdaughter stole and destroyed only showed her that there wouldn't be any repercussions for her actions. This should have been stopped a long time ago. Unfortunately for you, you didn't marry an adult man. You married a man-child, whose solution is to make his oldest daughter's behavior literally anyone else's problem but his own. If you're serious about this being the hill to die on, then you need to call him to pick up his kids before you call CPS and/or their mother, if she's even in the picture, about him abandoning his children because he can't be bothered to parent a problem he's been enabling. Otherwise, you're enabling his poor behavior as well. I agree, 100%. However, both stepdaughters would act out if I try to get involved and play mom, as they say. I stopped trying after my husband said the girls didn't appreciate me meddling in their life. Question: since he doesn't want you meddling in their lives, is that reciprocated towards your kids? Yes, but only when it comes to my daughter since she's older than her brother. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my siblings to Disney and not my sister-in-law's kids? So my husband, 27 male, and I, 25 female, have been married for 2 years. A year ago, we moved from Colorado, where I'm from, to Florida, where he's from, and bought our home that same week. 3 months ago, his sister, 30 female, and her 3 kids, 8 and 5 females, and 3 male, moved in with us because she was having a hard time keeping up with rent as a single mom. If I'm being honest, I wasn't too thrilled about this, as I would love to have privacy with my husband, and her kids are quite obnoxious, rowdy, and disrespectful. But at the end of the day, they are now my nieces and nephew. I grew up with a single mom until she remarried years later, and I believe what goes around comes around. So my husband and I do try to help with childcare and cook extra food so they can all eat, though that could be a whole post on its own. I will give her credit. She is hustling and practically working every day, and I know she wants her own place. Fast forward to now. In 2 weeks, my 16-year-old brother and 14-year-old sister are coming to visit from Colorado, just the 2 of them. It will be their first time traveling alone on a plane without adults, so they are super excited. We plan on taking them to Universal Studios, Disney World, and a water park at Universal. They've never been, so they are thrilled. My sister-in-law only found out about these plans because she asked what we planned on doing while they're here. We told her, not thinking it would turn into a full-blown argument like it did. She was upset that we aren't taking her kids and have never offered to take them since they've never been. I'm genuinely confused by this because I don't feel like that's our responsibility. As I mentioned, we already help her with childcare on days we're off so she can save money, pick the kids up from school when we can, and make sure they're fed. As much as my husband and I love kids and want our own in the next 1 to 2 years, her kids aren't easy to watch. They are disrespectful, have called us stupid, don't follow rules or redirection, make messes, and say they don't have to clean up. It goes on and on. Honestly, watching 3 children who behave like that in a big, busy amusement park where you have to be extra cautious sounds like my worst nightmare. It also wouldn't be fair to my siblings because we wouldn't be able to enjoy the parks with them if we were constantly babysitting. My sister-in-law told other family members, and they all think we're wrong and should take her kids. They also argue that we paid practically nothing for the tickets. We got family members and friends who work at each park to get us in. Disney was free, and for Universal, I paid my friend $200 total for 4 tickets. My husband and I simply don't want to take them. I'm not sure if that makes us evil, but we don't. I just wanted opinions to see if we're actually being rude for not bringing them along. I feel like people are glossing over the fact that her kids are 3, 5, and 8. That's a whole different ballgame than 14 and 16. You'd basically be on babysitting duty all day. Stroller naps, meltdowns, bathroom runs, leaving early. Of course your siblings' trip would be ruined. Also, it's kind of bold for her to complain when you're already housing her, feeding her kids, and helping with childcare. At some point, help turns into expectation, and that's not fair. Exactly. Agreed with you. Drastically different developmental ages. Activities are way different, and they see the other kids all the time. Mom should take her kids to Disney at a different time, so she doesn't miss out on the experience with them. It hits different when they're little. Aunt and uncle could go then too. Let OP enjoy her family while they are here, not the a-hole. Right, OP and her husband deserve a break from the kids. The sister-in-law is just asking too much. Isn't it enough that they're helping her and giving her a place to live? She should have looked at the situation from her sister's perspective instead of jumping into I'm the victim mode. Since the relatives agree with the sister-in-law, they should take the kids to Disney instead and see if they can handle it. What is stopping her from taking her kids when you all go? What is stopping her from taking her kids tomorrow if you all live there? Who would expect you to house and feed this family, then pay to take them all to Disney? The nerve. Tell her you'd be glad to ask if you can get additional discounted tickets for her to buy and take her kids. Not your circus, not your monkeys, not the a-hole. Anyone who expects you to take her kids, including extended family, is the a-hole here. Last story. Am I the a-hole? My partner won't put my name down on the mortgage. So, my partner, 32 male and I, 30 female, have been together for 8 years. We have 2 children together, ages 4 and 1. My partner works full-time, and I currently work part-time due to having our kids. 2 years ago, my partner's mom sadly passed away due to an illness. He and his sister inherited a house, which they then sold, and they both received half of the money. Currently, we split all the bills 50-50, but because I only work part-time, I don't have any spare money to contribute toward a mortgage. We've been looking at houses for the past few weeks and viewed our first one last week. I then double-checked with him to see if my name would also be on the mortgage, and he said no because it's his money, so only his name would be on it. I wouldn't normally be bothered if my name wasn't on it, but when we moved into our current property, his family owns it. During the first week of living here, we got into an argument about something silly, and he took my clothes and threw them outside, saying, "This is my family's house, and if I want to kick you out, I will," in front of some of his family. His sister told him off and brought all my belongings back inside. Since then, we've sorted things out, and I told him I wouldn't tolerate comments like that again. He said it one more time after that, but nothing for a while. Now, I refuse to move into a mortgaged home without my name on it because I feel like I have no security due to the past, and I've told him I'll be done with the relationship if he's not willing to do that. We are not married. Am I the a-hole for refusing to move without my name being on the mortgage? Edit. Some people ask if I pay half the rent now, and yes, I do. Everything is split evenly, from rent to food, and both our names are on the lease where we rent. People also ask why he threw my clothes out and what the argument was about. No, I didn't cheat or anything like that. It was a silly argument that I don't even remember the details of. We haven't gotten married because he doesn't want to, due to his mom being in many failed marriages. I'm not bothered about being married or not. It just hasn't happened, and that's fine. He's a great dad, and if I need help, he's there. The reason I posted this was to get other people's opinions and see if I'm being unreasonable, which I don't think I am. The second the clothes were thrown outside, I would have been out of there. 2 kids, limiting income so you are reliant on him, throws your stuff outside. It's easy for everyone here to say leave him. I'm assuming you're financially trapped and probably don't have family near you, as only his family was mentioned. I'm sorry, but no, you're not the a-hole in this scenario. I may get some hate for this comment, but this is why you don't move in with him or have kids with them until y'all are married. That's where a woman's security starts. And I would have to think very long and hard about being a stay-at-home mom. Not that I wouldn't love it, but I don't want to be financially dependent on anyone. Ladies, please get your education or a good-paying job and be able to support yourselves. Tips from an old Southern broad. Exactly. This is why you don't have kids or buy property with a man without marrying them. Marriage is a contract that protects you from losing marital assets, especially when you also give up your career, like OP. Yep, if she's not specifically put on the title of the home, she has no legal claim to it. If they were married but not on the paperwork, if any of the payments were made out of a joint account, bam, she's legally entitled to a stake of it if they separated.